Hello, everybody. This is Tom Eckert here. You're listening to my podcast, Numerology, a GPS for the soul. This is your place to learn about the true power of numerology and how to use it to bring out the best in yourself, understand your loved ones better, take wise decisions, and prepare for your future. In other words, how to live your life aligned with your true destiny. Take your time to educate yourself and share these podcasts with your friends and family so they too can enjoy the great benefits of numerology. Enjoy! Hello there, and welcome to all my listeners to today's special episode about 2026. I'm not such a personality of forecasts, especially when it comes to global or universal yearly forecasts. I'm definitely much more into personal yearly forecasts, but still, I think it's a nice occasion to honor. Today I'm having a special guest with me. I'll introduce her really soon, Marisa Grimm, a professional numerologist and a coach who's also been a student of mine for many years. We know each other. We love each other very much. Marisa does great work. So soon you'll meet Marisa. But for those of you who are new, welcome to my podcast. In this podcast, we discuss in-depth numerology as a path for spiritual growth, inner transformation, self-understanding, expansion of consciousness, and my personal take or approach to numerology is to try to make it very grounded, connecting the heavens, the earth, the higher insights and understandings to practical means and ways to use and apply numerology in your everyday life to live in alignment with your soul and your true purpose. Now, if you want to apply or experience numerology on a deeper level, then first of all, you should check out my numerology readings. Numerology readings are an exciting way to get to know yourself on a deeper level, to ask questions that are burning in your life and get precise answers tailored especially to you. Now you can read more about my readings and contact me through the link in the episode description. Now, if you want to study numerology on a deeper level or possibly even pursue it as a career, like myself or Marisa, then you should check out my two self-study courses and my in-depth study certification path. The self-study courses offer you the opportunity to study numerology at your own pace, on your mobile device, your laptop, your tablet, and in a rather comprehensive way to really get your feet wet and start practicing numerology. If you want to master numerology or really dive into the rare depths of the method, then check out my complete path of certification that takes you from the stage where you're at, be it a complete beginner or intermediate, all the way to an expert numerologist. So to read more about both study paths, check out the links in the episode description. Having said that, I think we're ready to dive into today's episode. So let's first of all get Marisa with us. Here. Hello, Marisa.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's a great pleasure. So let me just make sure you're pinned to the conversation so the screen doesn't change anything. So, my dear friends, as I said, Marisa is a really talented numerologist, a coach, a deeply spiritual person, very intuitive, very connected, very fluid in her intuitions and the way she perceives people, always very alive and attentive and allowing the magic of life to sort of inform her. So I love talking to Marisa. I'm so happy you're here. I love your contribution. It's already our second episode together.
Yeah. Yes.
So
Thanks for having me. I always love being with you and having a conversation.
yes,
That's why I've
yes,
studied with you for so many years.
yeah.
Yeah.
What an honor.
Thank you.
Really, what an honor. And by the way, for those of you who are listening via audio, just this is also a video episode, so you're welcome to join us on YouTube and watch this episode as well. So, Marisa, we're diving into 2026. A little bit of a sneak peek into the energies that lay ahead, and what do we as numerologists think about that? Do you have
Yes.
anything you want to
Well,
say,
I think
share?
I would say one of the interesting things, right, as we go forward is always to look behind, right? So in essence, like what did we just come out of as we move into this new year, right? So moving out of a 9 year, we're moving into a 10 1 year. And then what does that feel like, right? What is that fluid movement as energy works like a wave, right? What have we let go of, created space for as we move into kind of this space of planting seeds and new beginnings? What does that feel like?
Yes, yes, really, really beautifully
Yeah.
said.
And for me, it's
Go ahead.
Yeah, for me, I think about remembering last November, right? And to me, energy sort of works like that wave, right? So just last November in the United States, 2024, we had an election here. And so when
Mm,
we start to see, right, how energy as we move into a new year is met with outside situations and experiences, right? We start to watch it, right? So we start to be the observer. And to me, these energies are really amazing when we can be the observer of, right? And so I
mm,
think that feels very different than like I'm jumping into this energy that is this yearly energy for humanity. Because as you and I both know, we have our own energies that we're working with, and it's not
absolutely.
always in alignment with the wider energy. So
No.
anyway, so I think so coming out of a 9 year, I looked at last November 2024 was an election. And no matter where you are on the political scale, it doesn't really matter. We saw a big change, right? And we moved into this election in the United States, just looking from my
Right.
vantage point, right? And and everything changed. We watched every system in this our climate change, political, insurance, medical, like every single financial, every single institution, our government institute, everything was burning down this year. And so we watched that nine energy we saw in LA fire in January. So entire system burning down this year to elevate, to lift, to create space for something new, right? And so as you and I both know, and probably anybody that knows anything about numerology, we're moving into a 10 1 year, which is planting new seeds and new beginnings. So to
Yes.
me, this is a really big opportunity.
It's really beautifully said, and I'll simply continue on the same line of thought, that nine it ends a cycle, right? So the 9 year we just moved out from just is we just ended a cycle. And nine is also notorious for big changes. So some of them can be tectonic changes, some of them can be in the form of upheavals. They can be exciting and they can be unnerving at the same time. So nine sort of really steers things up and catalyzes bigger changes. And I think that we can all pretty much agree. I think if you talk to any average person on the street, people will say these are very volatile times, right? It's a sentence you hear a lot like lately, especially in the last year. I've heard it so much.
Yes.
The sense of volatility. Things are changing, things are shifting, and I think it definitely intensifies with the nine. The nine is definitely an energy of movement. Let's say if we compare it to other energies in numerology, such as four, six, that have something a little bit more stable and grounded and more immobile,
Right.
in comparison or in contrast to the nine that's stirs things up and moves things and wants to bring things into like a new horizon. It pushes things forward. And then, as you said, we're transitioning into the 10-1. And you mentioned the energy of new beginnings. And I want to add another word to that because 10, it's if it were just like a 1 or let's say a 28 1, you'll never get like a pure 1. It's impossible. Well, actually, it's possible when you're in the year 1000, but it's otherwise like it's just you won't get it anymore. That's it. So when we were in the year 100 or the year 1 or the year 1000, but otherwise, um, or the year 10. But but basically now it's a 10-1. If it were a 28-1, the one it would still be about new beginnings. So the 10 adds this energy of attainment. So 10, and by the way, I want to sort of open brackets and say that some of what I'm going to talk about pertaining to the 10-1 is inspired by my teacher, Sharon Ron, from Israel, my talented numerology teacher. So just to honor some of where this knowledge comes from, the 10, the way we talk about it in the human body method is very much connected, or there's some inspiration from the astrological wheel, where the 10th house is the highest point when you look at it from the whole sign houses. Okay, it's like your IC, your midheaven is going to be in the 10th house, which is like the place of achievements, of attainments, and in many ways of completion of sorts as well. Like the 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. Like a new octave suddenly, right?
Yes.
Um, so I'm sort of interested to include this in our conversation. So we're
Yeah.
moving into 2026. We know that progress is never cyclical. It's more like, I would say, in a more of a spiral energy. We're never just return to the same spot, right?
Yes.
So, wow, interesting. Now, like a 10-1,
Yes.
what does that mean? What
Right.
could it mean for us, for
Yes.
our experience as a collective?
And you know what's so interesting is I also think as we're evolving, one of the things that's shifting is this higher state of consciousness, right? And that we're able to connect lots of different ideas and modalities now to see how they all intersect. And so, like you just brought astrology in and the 10th house, right? Well,
Mm,
I have a good friend that is the elder for his Native American tribe that goes back thousands of years into the Mayan calendar, into different calendars, right? And he and that particular modality, the 10 is also the same. It's this very earthly
hmm,
completion. The 10 is like 10 hand or 10 fingers, 10 toes, right? There's something
right.
practical about it. But
Very
the 10
grounded.
is deeper than that. There's a deeper wisdom that comes with the 10, and
Mm,
it's a balancing. And so what I think is really beautiful is there is an amplification to the 10 and that pure 0 point that we see as the 0 with the 1, right? And
right.
the 10 for in the native charts is like the 10 toed, which is to find balance. And it's known as the fire, but it's really bringing an offering, coming forth
Mm,
with some sort of an offering. And so to me, it's this opportunity. While we can look at the one as like, wow, there might be like, new beginnings and innovations, and there's going to be maybe um, interesting leadership and things changing in the world, right? We can look at it just from the surface standpoint. What I'm encouraging people to do is how do we as individuals meet this energy that's maybe not necessarily our own yearly energy, but that's this collective energy, and how
right.
we meet it with this 0 point, the highest channel of the one and the zero. And
Mm,
to me, we're all about 70% water, right? That's science. This is
Right.
just the way we, and water responds to energy. So if we can start tuning into ourselves, that water that we have, and attuning to the balanced state that we are, we become the offering to humanity. And so to me, it's not
Mm,
just a 1 year where we're looking at what is going to happen here. It's bigger than that. It's how can we come to into our own state of balance and observation and curiosity in the world so we become the offering to the collective energy.
it's very, very powerful what you're saying here, and I think it also lines up really, really well with the story and the energy and the archetype of the one, or I always like to say that every number has, let's say, a physical, a psychological, and a spiritual level. Every number can function on a higher vibration. And when we look at the one, right, as an emanation of a spiritual archetype, we're looking at this a deep sense of self-responsibility. I am the one. There is only one. I recognize oneness. If I am the one, right? Not as a narcissistic, like self-interested, or self-important manner, but I recognize that the essence of myself is really the one and only. So I have to resume self-responsibility.
Mm.
I have to take ownership of this life. I have to resume self-authority and self-autonomy. I have to aspire, at least in my own experience, to find a sense of self-sufficiency, to be a light unto myself. And as a result, I become a light unto others, which are also, again, other faces of the one. So it somehow leads me to that point. It sort of brought that to mind, like right, like this, the 10, the one, the heightened one, the one
Yeah.
with the zero, the spiritualized one, the sense
Yes.
of I take on responsibility, and this is indeed, it correlates really well with the energy of the 10, because the 10
Yes.
is not just leadership or attainment, or it has a gravity. The
Yes.
the 10 is not just like a one. It's
Right.
a one with more gravity. It's more
Yes.
responsibility. It's taking something on taking a certain weight on my shoulders for the sake of a higher purpose
Yes.
and for the long haul. And
Yes.
we are in a time of sowing seeds, right? The number one.
Yes.
Yeah,
And I love that perspective. And I think as we go into this year, it is so important to be the observer of the energy and to really just be curious and to notice, like, oh, wow, that's interesting. This is very reflective of this one energy or this bigger thing that's happening in the world or these leaders in this world, these things that we're seeing on a global level. There's something bigger happening. And how do we want to meet it with this same similar energy? Because, like, we're talking about the highest version of this particular energy, while
right.
there's also the shadow, right? And
Absolutely.
with the light, the more intense the light becomes, the bigger the shadow, right? And
Yes.
so where there's an intensity of light that exists within this 10-1, and so we may also be witness to some of that shadow. And I think this is where we have a choice in how we're going to meet this energy. And this is why I think it's important to meet it with curiosity and then finding our own inner balance as we observe and step into this energy, into this collective space. And so when we are seeing the shadow forms, which we can talk about what that might look like, is how do we want to engage with that? How do we want to show up, and how can we show up in that to that those
Hmm.
energies that will they will present themselves because they always do. And so I think that might be an interesting space to look at for this year.
Hmm. Yeah. Powerful. Powerful.
And
So,
in
yeah.
yeah. So with the one, the shadow forms of the one can be, right?
Yeah,
Being like
aggression.
egoic. It's the
Hmm.
one, right? The opposite, the one, very masculine, egoic. It's my way. Here's how we're going to do this, right? So we might see
Hmm.
the leaders in this world. We could potentially see leaders that are very egoic and very stubborn and wanting to do things their own particular way. Maybe not.
The way of force, the way of power, and not
Yes.
not the way of listening and
Yeah.
cooperation. Hmm.
Right. And so if we're observing that, and that does become something that we see as part of the shadow, and this year, it's how do we want to meet that particular energy? I think that's really important this year if we want to elevate consciousness and we want to elevate and rise in humanity. It's how are we as individuals meeting this collective energy this year?
Right.
And to me, I see a lot of people talking about, oh, it's the horse. It's a 1 year, and we're going to be galloping forward. I'm taking on my own sovereignty and my own authority, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna I'm gonna gallop into this year. And I
That would
really,
be much more accurate had it been your personal year, but
yes,
that's
yes,
we're talking about a completely different thing here.
yes. And I think it's really important to note that difference of what
Yes.
we're talking about versus what is out there in the world, kind of on the surface level of numerology and astrology.
Yes, and I think that's why I said in the very beginning of the episode that I'm not very much the type to I I'm honest and I want to be candid with my audience, like I'm not such a fan, of global yearly forecasts, even though I've done them because I think it's I feel I do them more for my audience and for my listeners, because there are people out there who are curious about this. My
Yes.
observation is that over the years is that these predictions are such broad strokes. When it comes to personal years, that's a completely different story. I'm stoked and excited about personal year predictions and forecasts. I think that's really where the juice, where you find the real juice. When it comes to collective years, this is why I'm trying to stay rather minimalistic or to really come back to the essence of the year of what it means to us. Unless this is going to happen, that's going to happen. This is most probably going to happen in the technological sector, and this is going to happen in the health sector, and in terms of like whatever, like intercontinental relationships, blah 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 blah, or political this. I don't know. What the hell do I know? Like,
Yes.
I feel that I don't want to enter these territories.
Mm-mm.
And this is why I love it that we're really trying to touch on the essence. Like what are we collectively are going to be submerged in,
Yes.
and we can listen to that and understand it,
Yes.
and then like be in resonance with that
Yeah.
energy. And I think there's a lot of freedom in that
Mhm.
rather than saying this is going to happen, that's going to happen. There's a lot of space for error there, or I don't know, like, yeah. I want to add another little piece of information. So when I analyze, well, there are a few things I want to say, but what's interesting, right? Every cycle. So last time we were in a 1 year was a 10-1 as well. The number leading to that one was actually a 7, 2017. Okay.
Uh-huh.
The 2017 led to that 10-1. So the 7 was sort of the last door, the last energy through which that the energy um, emerged as a 1. And now it's emerging through a 6. And I think it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at, like, I'm looking at my tablet here because I have like a few notes, and so I see this 2026. All of these energies are a little bit more stable.
Yes.
If you think last time we had a 1 year, 2, 1, 7, the energies are a little bit more sharp, volatile. There are some conflicts there, but 2026, the energies are pretty in sync, pretty much in sync, and rather stable. So it's interesting to me
Yes.
to also just feel into the general energetic constitution here that leads. to the one.
Yes.
Pardon me.
Mhm.
This and so it's softer energies by and large. Okay, we're in the 2020s, so we will always have a 202. But last year,
Yes.
for example, we had 2025, and 2 and 5 are, a little bit more edgy,
Yes.
leading to a 9 that's more volatile
Yes.
and woe and dramatic. So now
Yeah.
we have 2026, a little bit more grounded, and then the 6, which is much more energy of, okay, let's work together.
Yeah.
Let's find the common denominator. Let's find common roots. Let's engage our hearts
Yeah.
and to come into a one energy out of that.
Yes.
So I just want to like put it out there and see if that brings any thoughts to your
Well,
mind.
yes, it does. I just had a download. You and I talked about in the last couple weeks about the message "I love you,"
Right.
and this is just that to me it's very telling of energy as well, right? So what came to me was well, a just how beautiful those three words together are. I love you. But
Mm-hmm.
the I being how we come into this world, right? Through that veil of the illusion of being separate, right? It's the I am the only one, right? I am separate than you. We
Right.
are this, that the veil of illusion, right? Not the oneness that we are all the same, right? So that one energy can go both ways, right? One can be this sovereign being, the I of the egoic sort of space. And then we have the you. And the you is really ultimately why we come here is we come here to experience ourselves in the other, right? To experience
Yes.
all the iteration of different iterations of the oneness in this cosmic existence, right? So
Absolutely.
you have the
Mm-hmm.
I and the you, and then we have love that is the binder of those two essences, right? The I and the
Yes.
you. And love is the highest light of the six.
Yes. Absolutely.
And so
Yes.
interesting that as we have this 2026, as that the six sort of guiding us as the last part of this into this year, right? Then if we all remember that love is the binder between the I and the you, that we can emerge through this year in a much higher vibration.
And become
And that
one.
really, yeah, and it's really up to us as individuals to meet this energy, right? Because we are a part of the collective and we, with our own and sort of thoughts, choices, actions in alignment for the highest good, can shift and elevate the vibration that's already naturally here for us. So we do have choice.
Yes. Yes, we do have choice, we do have agency. And if I uh, unpack your image a little further, this beautiful image, I, you, and love, it's if I look at 2026, a little bit like a sentence. So it ends with 2 6. Two people, six, the binder equals one. So it's nice. It's again, we're just playing here a little bit of an intuitive game, but it's like, right? Who knows? Maybe there's something about this year that will present some opportunity for us on a collective level, on many subtle levels, and many also maybe also societal levels or even political levels to question, our separateness and question things like, okay, maybe it's better to connect, or how do we want to connect? How
Mhm.
much do we want to compromise and can compromise?
Mhm.
And how do we become more united? The invitation of the one, more unified. What creates unification? Is it power? Is
Mhm.
it more technology? Is it more togetherness?
Mhm.
Um, so again, possibilities.
Yes. And also, how do we meet um, each opportunity or situation that is coming to us with more love, whether that be in curiosity about the other, curiosity about a situation, a group of people, a leader. How can we meet it more from a place of curiosity and love? And it doesn't mean that we have to be silent. It doesn't mean that we have to be complacent. But yet there is an opportunity to be curious of, wow, okay, I get to be here in this body and I get to be here having this experience. And I get to watch whatever emerges in this year. I get to be present for it. And so,
Absolutely.
how do I meet this space with the highest form of love and hold that higher vibrational energy? And so, to me, a lot of the lower vibrational energies, which are blame and shame and anger and pointing fingers, right? Those are low
Right.
vibrations.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how can we shift that, right? And if we find ourselves in that space going into this year, how do we shift to curiosity? And how do we shift in, like, wait, how can I tune my own vibration? And how to I meet every situation, person, and experience with the highest level of love and compassion. And so, how do I meet
Mm.
each thing with compassionate action, right? So, maybe something's
Right.
happening across the world that's disturbing, and then how can you infuse more love wherever you are in this world, whether that be for a neighbor or your park or you're cleaning up something or you're doing something, but how do you step into action that is a loving action to balance an action maybe somewhere else on the other side of the world, right?
Beautiful.
So,
Beautiful. Beautiful. And one is very about being proactive and moving into action. So that's beautiful. And before I say anything further about that, and I want to introduce another interesting piece of information to our conversation. Um, if you're enjoying this, this episode so far, and you want to keep supporting this work and this podcast, and keep learning high quality and grounded, in-depth neurology, then make sure to subscribe to this channel, follow, turn on the notifications bell on any platform you're listening from, and make sure to become part of this numerology community. Of course, your help goes a long way in helping this channel grow and this work expand, and for me to keep just creating these episodes for you guys. Another thing you can do to support and also to support yourselves is to follow me on Substack, where I write about numerology and Dharma combined, numerology and mysticism combined. The link to subscribe is in the podcast episode description. And lastly, of course, make sure to comment, my friends. Commenting is great. Commenting is conversation. I always try to answer all the comments and engage in conversation. It helps me know what you guys love, want to know about, and simply if you have any questions. So go ahead and do that. You can always do that via YouTube, Spotify, and I always answer you there. Okay, so having said that, Marisa, I want to introduce one more interesting piece of information. I'll share with you something that I like to do. So, when we analyze a global year like 2026, a universal year, we look at the numbers like 2026 and we add them up and we have like a 10-1. But to me, it's like, well, I can't ignore the fact that every global or universal year will always start on January 1st. So in a way, it's always 1/1/2026. Like it's always going to be January 1st. So to me, I always look at that as well. A little tip
yes,
for all of
yes.
us, right? So if I look at that, I also have a 12/3 this year. So
Okay, yes.
we have a 10/1 and a 12/3 as like another frequency that
Yes.
works in conjunction with the 10/1. And
Yeah.
it could be any other energy, but it's interesting. It's 10/1 and it's 12/3.
Yes.
Um, we know in the human body method numerology, in the human body numerology, again, uh, passed down to me by Shalom Ron, my beloved teacher, that 10 and 12 are more highly charged numbers.
Hmm.
Um, there is something that touches the higher spheres, you know. Both of these numbers have a more mystical or spiritualized energy. But even if we look at them from the, from the vantage point of like just one and three,
Yes.
we set aside the double digit for a second. Like we still have like very we can say novel energies, like something of a lot of creativity, a lot of renewal, a lot of experimentation and curiosity and freshness. At least these are like the first thoughts that come to my brain, to my mind. What do you think
Yeah.
about that?
Well, and I love that. And then the one and the three coming together of looking at those in conjunction is that idea of problem solving. And so that feels really good coming out of a 9 year where we've kind of burned a lot of
Mm,
things down. And
yes,
like, not only do we get to plant new seeds, but maybe it's the energy of problem solving. Let's take what we have
yes,
here and really look at it, really see it, and find new solutions, creative solutions and how we move forward this year.
exactly. And we've come from a nine, and if you add this 1-1, January 1st, 2025, last year it was an 11-2. So 9 and an 11-2, two pretty intense vibrations shifting into very, I would say, rather light vibrations.
Yeah.
I think it's good to see. I don't want to, promote any false ideas here, like as if I'm some kind of prophet and I know what's going to happen, because I don't.
No.
But I think there still is something real about these things to
Yes.
contemplate and to consider. Something fresh, the problem-solving element you mentioned, this looking and approaching things from a new perspective and having the openness to do so. Again,
Yes.
1-3, the
Yes.
combo, right? I have this openness. I'm this. There's this youthful energy. Like I'm willing to approach things from a new perspective, and to try out new pathways. So it's exciting. There seems to be
Yeah.
also some kind of exciting energy about the 1-3. And I don't remember where I heard this. I definitely know some teacher back in the day, a spiritual teacher, an enlightened spiritual teacher I've met in the past, who said that 2026 is going to be a pivotal year. And he said that, I think I heard him say that about like 12 years ago or maybe 15 years ago. Something about like 2026 being another pivotal transition point towards like a culture of light.
Yes.
He called it like a culture of liberation, using like a word that is more from the, borrowed from the yogic tradition. So, we started this whole conversation about this shift when it was 2012 or towards 2012.
Yes.
And then he said that another phase, another shift in that same movement is going to be 2026. And I think
Yes.
he's not the only one. I was having
No.
this conversation the other day, like with some, I don't remember, another person or two even told me something about 2026.
Yes.
Not from numerology, like from a completely
No.
different system or,
Yes.
right? Was it also you that told me about this
Yeah.
friend of yours?
I've been tracking this and it's so interesting. There are many mystics that have talked about like years and years and years beyond, right? That
Yes,
have talked about this particular timeline, right? So it's not just, it's
right.
kind of a collective energy of anybody that is tapped into that realm of understanding that like there's something changing about this time. Also could be very just very curious that it's also our shift into Aquarius. And so,
Hmm.
in if I just look at it from the United States, we have been in Capricorn since the beginning of the United States. And Capricorn is all about building systems, right? The creation of systems. And
Yeah,
this is why we have garbage service in the United States, right? This is why there's that's not necessarily always efficient, but we have a garbage service, right? That we've built into this. And it's not just the United States, it's the whole world, right?
right.
But it's very curious that right now during this time we literally shifted into Aquarius. We had a 9 year where many things have burnt down. We've all watched it. And
Hmm.
now we're in Aquarius, which is all about creativity, technology, the rise in communication, nonverbal communication, right? So there's something emerging that is more open, fluid, curious. So there is a shift along with our energies of numerology that are high
Right,
vibrational frequencies. So
right,
there's kind of like, as we watch all the modalities come together, there's a very telling, pinpointed time to now of there is a
hmm,
bigger shift happening. And I don't know what it is. Nobody actually does. But the fact
yes,
is that it's been, in the non-verbal, non-spoken sort of realms, there is a feeling that there is something changing that is a pivot point for the highest good of humanity and this evolutionary change that we're in right now.
yeah. Many people are feeling that things are changing. Not
Yes.
everybody feels that it's for the good. I think many
Yeah.
people feel that, there's a looming danger, and many people feel very pessimistic and very scared about what's to come.
Hmm.
I am less inclined in that direction. That's
Yeah.
simply my makeup, though. I'm not saying I know better than anybody else.
Yes.
I do think my gut tells me that we do evolve, that we are evolving as a species,
Hmm.
but we're just not evolving necessarily like with a very, the curve is not necessarily extremely like sharp, but it's just a very gentle curve, an upward curve, but it's very, very gentle. But we're still growing. Like if you zoom out, you'll
Yes.
see we're growing. We're still
Yes.
living in the best time in recorded history. Like, people tend to romanticize the past and say it was so good 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 500 years ago, I don't know, 10,000 years ago, but like try to live 300 years ago and let's see if you want to stay there. Like if you had a time machine, if I'll just let you stay there for a week and you have access to come back, but you have to stay there for a week, and you see what it means that, every mother giving birth has a very high risk of dying, and
Mm.
there's a very high probability of the four kids that she gave birth to because there's no contraception. So you tend to give birth to more kids. Some of them will die. And
Yes.
so the reality of regularly simply losing, dear ones at a very early age, not
Mhm.
living to see old age. Many of us, many people that we know just died at very early ages.
Mhm.
Not having a way to treat cold, the flu, simple things, not having food, salt, sugar, things that we take for granted, like I think people don't realize that we are in fact the result of the will and the intention and the wishes of the people from the past. We are where we are because we, who were back then other people, we really wanted a better life for ourselves. And that's where we
Yes.
find ourselves today with
Yes.
heating and light and electricity and
Yes.
transportation and food. You know what I mean?
Yes.
There's still a lot of inequality, but I think still a research from what I know, okay, I'm caveating this, like from what I know,
Mhm.
still most surveys and research shows that still there's less of everything, less hunger, less scarcity worldwide than it used to be.
Yes.
So it's fascinating. It's
Yeah.
fascinating. Why did I say that? I have absolutely no clue.
Well, I
Um,
think you were talking about people and fear, and that there's still some element of fear of what's
yes,
to
you're right.
come,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And while I think I love where you took it and going backwards, because I would also look at it in the sense that if we look at just the evolution of humanity, we've always had fear. And fear is an illusion. It's actually the thing every teaching, if you look at it from a
Yeah.
spiritual
Oh
teaching
yeah.
or just any teaching in general, right, is always talking us about how do we step into fear? How do we move through the fear? Right.
Right,
And
right,
so
right.
fear actually serves us in some ways if we're willing to hold it and look at it and understand it and move through it, right? If we can step into that fear with like humility and love, and move through it, we can open it up almost as this illusion that it grasps us as this illusion veil. And when we can try to work with it, we oftentimes can move through it. And so, I mean, not everyone, but it is possible. And so I think that's also just, and while I feel very privileged, I live in the United States, I have a comfortable life. I am not in the middle of Mozambique starving and in a village where I have nothing. That exists and it's all over this world,
In a
right? There's
totalitarian
war.
regime where you cannot
Yes,
speak, say anything, get out,
absolutely. Yes,
speak up your mind,
yes.
uh, hold
Yeah.
the
And I
hand of someone you're attracted to.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just all the imbalances of our world, they exist, but they also exist because we are human and we came here to grow through these challenges, whatever they may be, wherever we are
Right,
in this world.
right.
So, yeah,
Yeah, and you mentioned Aquarius, and I think that's what brought this thought of, comparing like the present to the past. Aquarius, what's beautiful about Aquarius is that its gaze is to the future. It has
yeah.
futuristic, however, it has roots in the past. So it's not forgetting the past. It Aquarius, it borrows from the past. It sort of it sucks its juice and I think a lot of its knowledge also from the past to create a future.
Yeah,
And I think that it lines up in an interesting way, intuitively with the 10-1, because the
yeah,
10-1 is also moving forward, but the 10 has this gravity. I sense the sense of responsibility. And with that sense of gravity, and when I say gravity, I mean in a constructive manner, I move forward.
yes,
I understand that I have responsibility. With power comes greater responsibility. With
yes,
self-understanding comes greater responsibility. And as I assume these qualities and this inner posture of self-responsibility, I move forward and I can create. What future can I create? It's a question I ask and it's an action I take.
yeah.
Um,
And it's that 0 point energy. So it's the one and then back to the zero. If the zero is the all, the void, the source, God, or creation, right? The 0 point
mm,
energy, that is everything. It is our ancestors that came before us. It is the energies that are parallel in this space with us right now, right? It's the all. So it's everything in the circle, right?
right.
Of behind and above, to the sides, below, all of it. So it's taking what was, what is, what's around us, and really encompassing all of it into the oneness that is now as you propel forward.
Yes, beautifully, beautifully said. Really. I see that I wrote here a little note. We mentioned this already, but I love it. I circled these two words um, together, completion and beginnings, because it's
Mhm.
interesting to me. That's really what's so special about the 10-1, because it's you have both in the same energy. You have both. You have a certain completion or a sense of attainment while starting a whole new or carving out a whole new path,
Mhm.
sowing new seeds. It's fascinating to me that this merging of two qualities that are seemingly on two ends of a spectrum, but eventually they merge, completion and new beginning.
Yeah,
Mm,
I love
yeah,
that.
yeah,
And when I'm working with anyone in the 10 energy or 10-1 energy, I'm always, and this is true for all of us because we all plant seeds, right? There's a piece of all of us that as we're in this world, the way we're operating is we're planting energetic seeds everywhere we go,
right.
And so to me, though, really tuning into this frequency of the one that is the seed planter, right? Brave, courageous, like taking down inspiration and insight and then planting seeds into this world, right? Just like
Mm-hmm.
making
Mm-hmm.
something happen is to be really as we curious as we go into this world is what seeds are we planting? What is our energy? What are we holding right now? Are we planting seeds of fear or anger? Or is it of curiosity and love and openness, right? Being open to the oneness that all is possible and that we are existing in this space together. And so I think if we could do anything as we move into this year and just tune into that, what seeds are we planting every day? What energy am I holding today? Because you're not planting those seeds for just yourself, they're for your family, your neighbors, your grandchildren. They're energetic seeds. And so that seeds is for the all, the collective. To me, that's the highest way that we can meet this energy of this year as humans together.
That's so beautifully said. In fact, it's so beautifully said that I think that's the just I don't want to say anything further. I think that's literally the note I want to end on. It's such a really I think you just nailed it, and you touched on all the right points, and you managed to sort of um, sum it up in a way that you know helps all the listeners and whoever will listen to this podcast to harness this energy in a constructive manner. And I think in the end, that's the most important thing. There's no nothing is 100% carved in stone. So there's a season coming up, so to speak, right? But our approach, our inner posture matters a lot. And I
Yes.
think what you said is just so beautiful, really, really beautiful. So I think I'm stopping here.
Okay. Okay. It is. So it is.
Yeah, so it is. So, um, yeah, so for everyone who listened to this episode or will listen to this episode, I hope that what Marisa and I shared here today just gives you some food for thought, be it for 2026, that's just started, or if you listen to this in the future, as an inspiration to feel into the language of numerology and into the language of the heart and and consciousness and love and how to harness any energy of any year, personal or universal, to a higher good and to a positive end. Marisa, first of all, I want to say to all of you out there who are living in the area of Portland, not that Marisa is limited to Portland, but I think Marisa, you're a community person. Like you're very much right. Marisa is located in Portland, Oregon,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Um, and a very, very talented numerologist and coach, and simply an intuitive reader, and someone who's extremely generous in the way she works with you. And I highly, highly recommend uh, checking her out. I will definitely leave a link to Marisa's website, right? Website
Yeah.
or
The
Instagram. What do you
website.
prefer? Any?
I mean, it's all, my website is just a basic overview, but I have the website, I have Instagram, I use that more frequently, and I
Yeah.
write on my Substack. So all
Exactly.
three.
So I'll simply link. I'll leave a link to for you guys to check out Marisa, so you can contact her and really benefit from everything that she does. Um, Marisa, yeah, what a
Thank you.
great joy that you
Thank
were
you.
here with me. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I
Of
appreciate
course.
you as always. Thank
Mm,
you.
thank you, my dear. And so, yeah, to wrap this up, um, again, if you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing and turning on the notifications bell to keep, first of all, learning more quality and in-depth numerology, and also supporting this work so I can keep creating more content for you guys, free content just like this. Secondly, remember you can subscribe to my Substack where I write about numerology, dharma, and mysticism combined. The links are all in the podcast episode description. Remember to comment, because commenting and engaging in conversation simply expands our awareness of ourselves, and it's also creating connection. And I can know better uh, my audience and provide you with better content as I get to know you. Otherwise, if you want to experience numerology, remember that you can check out my numerology readings. A wonderful, wonderful way to simply get to know yourself, or talk to Marisa as well. She gives reading herself. And if you want to study numerology, remember to check out my self-study numerology courses. There are currently 2 and more are coming up. And if you really want to dive deep, then you can check out my in-depth numerology certification program, where you study directly with me. So, my friends, I really, really hope that you enjoyed this podcast. I hope this gives you some food for thought, and, well, blessed and happy new year to all of you, wherever you are. Marisa, thank you again.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And please, to all his listeners, if you are interested in numerology, absolutely study with Tom. He is, I mean, one of the only teachers I know teaching this method out there right now. And he's an incredible teacher. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, and you want to go deeper into numerology, check out my website, tom-eckert.com. You can also book a numerology reading or even study numerology yourself through my courses. I'll see you in the next episode.